Hey there, and welcome to 10 TV Plus. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud. We have Michael Behrens here. Michael, cold all week long, but we have a little bit of a snowfall moving in tonight.
Yeah, a little bit of snowfall heading our way. Probably going to be less than what we saw over the weekend, but most of what we got this weekend hasn't gone anywhere because it's been so cold.
Yeah, and the snow that we get when it's this cold, it's kind of interesting. It's so like fluffy and powdery that you can literally blow it away. So shouldn't be as icy. Not as icy tonight as what we saw on Sunday. I'm not thinking.
That's good for sure, because what we saw this weekend came down and it sort of froze to already wet ground. This should be easier.
Freezing
to deal
rain to rain back to snow. Don't want that. But this should be a little bit easier on you compared to this weekend. So we are going to be tracking some snow tonight, beginning after midnight. Heaviest here between about 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning. And this is not as much as what we saw on Sunday. Quick coating to maybe an inch possible. That could even be on the higher end of things. So as we head towards midnight tonight, notice that from St. Mary's down to Dayton, down along I-75, we see the snow gradually beginning to cruise into the region. As we march forward in time, notice that this is kind of broken up here across the region. Like you have one band up here in Bucyrus, and then another one in Marion, another one in Mansfield, and then you have a separate band down towards Cambridge and out towards the south. That does make for some forecasting difficulties because, you know, areas that get under these heavier bands could be looking at some higher amounts, and then areas like the metro, where we're kind of split between the two, we might get less snow. So it's all going to depend on where your location is. Nonetheless, by about 7 o'clock, we start wrapping this up, and eventually things will improve and look a lot better as we head into tomorrow afternoon. All right, town by town, what can you expect? Half inch, I think, is the going rate for tomorrow. Again, one thing we always say, the trend is your friend. And when you're getting multiple consecutive model runs where they keep on showing a half inch, that makes me pretty confident that that's what we're going to see. So I'd bank on a half inch of snow heading into tomorrow. You know, we do have a slight deficit in snow for the month of February. So this month, we've had 3 inches. By the way, all that came on Sunday. Average is about 4.6. So we are a little bit behind the 8 ball. Typically in February, we get about 7 for the whole month. So we'll see exactly how this ends up playing out as we take a look here at the next week or two. Wind chills out there today, not as bad as what we saw yesterday. You know, the air temperatures are still down, right, chilly. However, the wind isn't as strong today, so that actually makes it feel a lot better out there. And as we head towards the afternoon, we're going to be looking at wind chills dropping down to the single digits by around 9, 10, 11 o'clock this evening. So just get ready for that if you will be going out and about later on. When does the cold finally come to an end? All right, so I do have that answer for you. Notice that the next couple of days still very cold, but then by the weekend, by about Sunday morning going into Monday, this is much closer to where we should be for this time of the year. So eventually things are moving right along in the right direction. Right now, it's so cold because take a look right here at the upper level jet stream. Whenever that is diving as far southbound as the Gulf states, you know that we're talking some cold air here across the upper Great Plains and parts of the Midwest. As we go towards this weekend, though, we get that warm conveyor belt here, and warm is relative, right? We're not looking at temperatures in the 60s, but we are looking at temperatures returning back to the 40s, so that should be good. Where is spring? Just wait. 29 days. We can make it. March 20th. All right? That's about 4 weeks out, so we'll make it there. For the next 6 to 10 days, though, the temperatures are actually not looking too bad. You know, the question is, are we looking at any more outbreaks of this cold air? Not really. I mean, temperatures will be around normal heading into the next 6 to 10 days. You head west of the Mississippi, well, as you head out there, that will be different territory. And then as we get a look at rainfall here, we're kind of on the cusp of below average here. Most of the upper Midwest and New England will be looking at near normal rainfall heading into the end of February and into the start of March. So the cold air comes to an end. And in fact, as we get up to like day 4, once we get basically to this weekend, we start climbing up above average here by Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And this goes through most of next week. And we're not looking at any more major outbreaks of this cold air heading into next week. So that is great as we're looking at the next several days. Now, couple of things I want to point out here, okay? Saturday, lower.com field. We're talking to you guys, Columbus Crew fans. It's going to be downright chilly, dropping down to the upper end of the 20s. Get ready for that. I mean, and this is an improvement from how cold it has been. Just be prepared, as temperatures are going to be pretty chilly for outdoor sports. And then on Tuesday, we're tracking our next potential rainmaker. I mean, look at the high temperature, 44. We did put the snowflake in there because we may see a couple flakes kind of mixing in, but by Tuesday, we get a few showers breaking out across the area, and then things begin to improve. And then temperatures stay pretty warm as we head into next week. We are back into the low to mid 40s, and it looks like for most of next week, we're not looking at any more outbreaks of that cold air. That is good, and also not really looking at the risk of any more snow after tonight. So if you are a snow lover, keep dreaming, because we're not looking at a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, we got all of the cold in here this week. It's just been really dry since Sunday, so like you said, just not adding a lot to that snowfall total.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe a half inch tonight, so even after tonight, we're probably still going to be below normal for February.
So not much February left to add to that total either. No, man, good news, too, with the warmer weather heading our way, because unfortunately, we've been back in that dangerous kind of cold pattern again this week.
Yeah, it was pretty bad out there this morning. Single-digit wind chills, but at least by Saturday. I mean, we're back to freezing by Sunday, 40s.
Yeah, that's good news, seeing that trend heading back our way. But before we get there, sadly, the cold temperatures across Ohio have turned deadly for some. The Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner confirms that 5 people died from hypothermia so far this winter. Medical Examiner has ruled a public health advisory for this cold, saying that everyone needs to be vigilant and take steps to stay safe when it gets this frigid outside. And when it comes to keeping the cold out, well, there are some simple tips to make sure that your family and home are prepared for the cold weather. Experts say drip your faucets to help prevent pipes from freezing. Keep cabinet doors open so the heat from your house can reach those pipes as well. And of course, remove any outdoor garden hoses and cover those outdoor faucets or hose bibs to help them avoid freezing. Plus, experts say to know where your water shutoff valve is in case your home does spring a leak in these cold temperatures. And don't forget about your car as well. Cold weather snaps can take a toll on your battery. Experts say park in the garage whenever possible. Plus, check your battery. AAA says when temps fall below freezing, a battery's starting power drops 35%. Also, make sure your battery is clean and free of corrosion, and check out your wheels as well. Tire pressure tends to drop in these cold conditions. The extreme cold isn't the only winter-related problem. Potholes are a big concern this time of the year. Take a look at some of these potholes along 5th Avenue in the Grandview area. The city of Columbus says they are in the constant change in temperatures is causing many of these potholes to form. The Department of Public Service says it has a crew out every day fixing potholes except when it is out snowing.
How do you prioritize which potholes you get to first?
There's a couple different things that factor into that. Anytime someone puts in a 311, we certainly jump on those and take care of those. And anything that they note as severe or the potential to cause damage to a vehicle, we certainly prioritize those first as well.
And of course, if you're out and about and you see a pothole, the city asks that you do call that 311 number in order to report it. Let's take a little bit more of a look at why those potholes actually formed. You heard it was part of that change in temperature that causes those potholes to form, but that's not the only factor. Water always kind of seeping through that road surface there, and if it can collect underneath the road base, when it freezes, that's where the problems start, because that frozen water underneath the road surface creates an upward pressure on the pavement, weakening it and, well, making it susceptible to forming those potholes. You add the weight of vehicle traveling on top of those weakened road surfaces, and that's a recipe for, damage to the road surface. Once we get back into warmer weather, we change the temperatures again. That frozen water melts away. Now we have a cavity underneath the road, kind of like the same way a cavity might form in a tooth. And of course, well, that's a weakened surface. We put that weight of the car back on top of it, and well, it collapses into a pothole. And the more we go on throughout time, as more cars travel over that pothole, more of that material gets dug out, and then we get those really nasty problems out there that can cause damage to vehicles and, well, hamper your travel. So not something fun to see this time of the year.
I feel like my car has found every pothole so far.
I mean, I have a friend that works in Indianapolis as a bus driver, and he showed me a picture of his rim the other day. It blew a hole in the rim.
Oh, no.
And I'm just like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's bad. I mean, especially in, the major highways, because they actually dig a lot further down, they're less susceptible to them, but it's more like the second and third roadways.
Those parking lots too.
Exactly, parking lots are bad, yeah. So, that time of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, lots of cold weather impacts this time of the year. And as Central Ohio has been dealing with those cold weather impacts, one group of people has to go out in the elements every day. And they tell us they're taking every precaution needed to fight through frigid temperatures. 10 TV's Bryn Caswell has more on how fire departments are working to keep you and your family safe during these freezing conditions.
It is freezing outside, but warning, the winter weather here in Central Ohio is not over yet. We are expected to have more snow falling this Thursday. But just know your first responders and your local fire departments are prepared to keep you safe in whatever Mother Nature decides to throw our way. Fire crews do have tools that can freeze, including the valves on their trucks and fire hydrants, but they do have flares that they use to thaw those items out. And all trucks also have salt to help de-slick driveways and sidewalks to get to patients safely. Remember, some basic winter fire tips are to sleep with your door closed at night and to also remember to unplug any space heaters that are not in use. Stay safe out there. Bryn Caswell, 10 TV News.
Finally today, let's check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. Several streets were underwater after a water main break in Detroit, Michigan. That break happened early Monday, sending a gush of water that flooded basement streets and left cars partially submerged. That is wild there. Unfortunately, that water quickly turned icy because of how cold temperatures were. Officials say between 150 to 200 homes impacted. First responders are helping those trapped, while crews work to isolate the break in a 54-inch water main. That's a big one. No word yet on a cause, but that video there, crazy.
There's so much water pressure that's built up, and then with temperatures as cold as they are, it doesn't take a whole lot. The ground is frozen, so that freezes on contact.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can see that video there. I mean, the car is sitting in the water, and there's just like a slushy, those ice, chunks of ice floating by as well. That is not a nice situation there.
Yep.
Yeah, not at all. Speaking of which, though, the cold, it's not all bad news outside. Here in Ohio, crews have begun the process of transforming the shoe into a hockey stadium. Just 10 days, the Blue Jackets will take on the Detroit Red Wings in the Stadium Series. It'll be the Blue Jackets' first ever outdoor game and the first ever in Ohio Stadium. The NHL has a lot to do to get the stadium ready. Overnight, crews started to lay down the base floor that they'll put the ice on top of. The NHL has a 53-foot trailer that features the world's largest refrigeration unit. It allows them to create a sheet of ice that will be up to NHL quality for an outdoor game. Of course, weather's always a factor when you play outside, but right now, not so bad for hockey.
I mean, they're probably saving on that refrigerant electric bill because it's so cold out there.
I was going to say, Adam was talking to us about it over the weekend, that they're hoping that the cold weather kind of lasts for the hockey game. We're getting back above freezing by next week. So, I mean, that's 7 days from now, 10 days from now for that hockey game. We might be trending a little more.
We are trending back to the 40s. That could be problematic, too.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, a shoe sits over 100,000 people. I'm wondering if they can sell it out.
I mean, that would be cool. I mean, we certainly have a lot of loyal Blue Jackets fans here in Columbus, especially this year. They're doing really well. We're close to Detroit. We'll probably bring some of those guys down, too. So it'll be a fun game to be at.
Yeah. All right, diehards, be out there coming up in 10 days. That does it for us here on 10 TV Plus. Don't worry, though. Chief Meteorologist Dory Martz is back here on 10 TV News starting at 6 o'clock. We'll catch you then.